Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine walking a single road, a road built more than 2,000 years ago, stone by stone, worn smooth by the feet of soldiers, merchants, pilgrims, and kings. Empires rose on this road. Empires collapsed into dust beside it. This is a land where the past never disappears. It whispers from broken columns, from church bells at dawn, from paintings older than entire nations. Italy is not just a country, it is a living timeline of human civilization. Here, you can stand in a Roman amphitheater at noon, and eat dinner beneath a medieval tower by sunset, and fall asleep beneath Renaissance frescoes painted when the world still feared the edge of the sea. Italy has been the heart of the greatest empire the world had ever seen, the cradle of Christianity, the birthplace of the Renaissance, a battlefield of kings, popes, and dictators, and finally, a nation stitched together from centuries of division. But Italy's story is not just about power, it is about people. Farmers, artists, soldiers, mothers, monks, merchants, ordinary lives lived beneath extraordinary history. Tonight, you are not rushing through dates and names. Tonight, you are drifting slowly through time, from the first villages along the Mediterranean, to the fall of Rome, from dark medieval nights, to the explosion of art and genius, to a modern nation still shaped by everything it remembers. So wherever you're listening from, and whatever time it is where you are, settle in. That's the entire history of Italy, and it begins long before Italy had a name. Long before Rome ruled the world, Italy was already alive. The peninsula stretched into the Mediterranean like an open hand, a bridge between Europe, Africa, and the Near East. Early humans settled here over 40,000 years ago, drawn by mild winters, fertile land, and endless coastlines. Small villages formed, people hunted, farmed, traded. They buried their dead with care. Believing perhaps that life did not end by the first millennium BCE, Italy was not one culture, but many. In the north lived Celtic tribes, fierce, mobile, deeply tied to the land. In the south, Greek settlers built shining coastal cities, bringing writing, art, and philosophy. And in central Italy lived one of the most mysterious civilizations of all time, the Etruscans. They drained swamps, built roads, raised cities of stone. They believed the gods spoke through lightning, birds, and dreams. Their kings ruled with ceremony and spectacle. Much of what we associate with Rome, arches, public rituals, even gladiatorial games, came from the Etruscans, yet they left behind few written records. Their language faded, their cities were absorbed, and among the hills near the Tiber River, one small settlement began to grow. It had no marble temples, no kings of legend, just huts, fields, and a stubborn people who believed they were meant to endure. That village was Rome. And soon, Italy would never be the same again. Rome did not rise quickly, it did not rise easily, and it did not rise because it was destined to. It rose because it refused to disappear in the beginning. Rome was unremarkable. A cluster of wooden huts stood on low hills near the Tiber River. The land flooded often, the summers were hot, the winters damp and unforgiving. There were stronger cities nearby, richer cities, older cities. And yet, Rome stayed. The people who lived here were farmers, shepherds, laborers. They worked the soil with their hands. They built simple homes. They learned to endure hardship as a way of life. According to legend, Rome was founded by twin brothers raised by a wolf. But legends are often born to explain something deeper. Rome was not born of greatness, it was born of survival. For centuries, Rome was ruled by kings. Some were fair, some were cruel. All held immense power. These kings organized Rome's first armies, roads, and laws. They drained marshes and built public spaces. They gave the city structure. But with power came abuse. One king ruled not through respect, but through fear. He ignored the people. He silenced dissent. And when his family committed a terrible crime, the city reached its limit. Rome revolted. The kings were expelled. Their name became a warning. From that moment on, Rome swore it would never again bow to a king in place of a king. Rome created something radical for its time. A republic. Power would be shared. Authority would be temporary. No single man would rule alone. 2 consuls were elected each year, each able to stop the other. A senate of elders advised and debated. Assemblies of citizens voted. But this was not equality. Rome was divided. The patricians, wealthy, noble families held most power. The plebeians, farmers, workers, soldiers carried most burdens, and so began a long struggle. Plebeians protested. They refused to fight in wars. They demanded rights. Slowly, painfully, they won them. Written laws were carved into stone. New offices were created. Power, while still unequal, became shared. Rome was learning something rare in the ancient world, that conflict could strengthen a state, not destroy it. Rome did not seek peace, it sought security. Surrounded by rivals, Rome fought often, and when it lost, it learned. Defeat did not break Rome, it reshaped it. Roman soldiers trained relentlessly. They adapted tactics. They rewarded discipline, not birth. Conquered enemies were not always destroyed. Many were absorbed. Rome offered something unusual: citizenship, or a path toward it. Former enemies became allies. Allies became Romans. With each war, Rome grew stronger not just in land, but in loyalty. Roads stretched across the countryside. Colonies secured territory. Armies marched farther from home. Rome was no longer a village. It was a power. By the 3rd century BCE, Rome dominated the Italian peninsula, not as a tyrant alone, but as a network. Cities kept local customs. Peoples kept identities. But Rome commanded allegiance. Taxes flowed inward. Soldiers marched outward. The Republic stood balanced between ambition and tradition, between freedom and control. Yet success carried a price. Rome's enemies were no longer nearby tribes. They were empires, and the greatest confrontation of all was approaching. Across the sea, another power was rising. And when Rome met it, the Mediterranean world would be changed forever. Rome had conquered Italy, but Italy was only the beginning. Beyond the sea lay wealth, power, and enemies older than Rome itself. And once Rome learned to fight beyond its borders, it could never turn back. For centuries, the Mediterranean had been ruled by great powers. Greek cities dominated the east. Ancient kingdoms rose and fell along its shores, and in the west stood a rival unmatched in wealth and naval strength. Carthage. Its ships ruled the sea. Its merchants controlled trade. Its influence stretched across North Africa, Spain, and the islands between. Rome and Carthage were different in every way. Carthage trusted money, trade, and fleets. Rome trusted discipline, land armies, and endurance. War between them was not inevitable, but once it began, it would decide the fate of the ancient world. The wars between Rome and Carthage were long, brutal, exhausting. Rome lost armies, fleets sank, entire legions vanished. But Rome did not surrender. Instead, it rebuilt again and again. When Rome lacked ships, it built them. When it lacked sailors, it trained farmers. When it was defeated, it adapted. Victory did not come quickly, but when it came completely. Carthage fell. Its powers shattered. Its cities burned. Its people scattered. Rome now stood alone in the West, and power has a way of demanding more power. With victory transformed Rome. Gold poured into the city. Slaves flooded the markets. Generals returned as heroes. But not everyone benefited. Small farmers, once the backbone of Rome, lost their land while fighting wars far from home. Wealth gathered in the hands of the few. The poor crowded the streets. Rome was winning abroad, but fracturing within. Politicians rose promising reform. Others resisted change at any cost. Violence entered politics. Mobs replaced debate. Assassinations replaced compromise. The Republic was understrained. The army was changing too. Once, soldiers fought for Rome, then returned to their farms. Now, many had no farms to return to. They followed generals instead of ideals. And those generals were becoming dangerous. Ambition filled the vacuum. Powerful commanders marched armies across continents. They crushed rebellions. They conquered kingdoms. And they returned to Rome, expecting reward. Rivalries hardened. Alliances shifted. Trust evaporated. Rome's political system, designed to prevent kings, was facing men who commanded loyalty beyond the state itself. Civil war loomed, not because Rome was weak, but because it had become too strong. The Republic had survived centuries of war. It had survived kings, invasions, and internal conflict, but it had never faced this. Men who loved Rome, yet believed only they could save it. As armies marched toward the city, as citizens chose sides, as laws bent under pressure, one truth became clear. The Republic was dying, and from its collapse, something far greater and far more dangerous was about to be born. The Roman Republic did not fall in a single moment. It faded slowly, quietly, almost politely. The old laws still existed. The Senate still met. Elections were still held. But real power, no longer lived in debate. It lived in one man. Rome had sworn it would never accept a king, so when a single ruler emerged, he did not call himself one. He was named first citizen, protector of the people, guardian of peace. The Republic was declared restored, but everyone knew the truth. Rome now had an emperor, and under his rule, something extraordinary happened. After centuries of chaos, war, and fear, the world grew quiet. For generations, the empire stretched across continents, from the cold forests of the north to the deserts of Africa, from distant islands to ancient eastern cities older than Rome itself. Roads connected everything. Messages traveled faster than ever before. Trade flowed uninterrupted. Cities flourished. Temples rose. Amphitheaters echoed with cheers. For many, life was safer than it had ever been. This era became known as peace, but peace enforced by power is fragile and beneath the marble and gold. Tension was growing. Rome ruled millions of people from countless cultures to maintain order. Emperors learned a simple rule: keep the people fed and keep them entertained. Grain was distributed freely. Spectacles filled the arenas. Men fought beasts. Men fought men. Crowds cheered as blood soaked the sand. Power was no longer subtle. It was theater. The emperor stood, above all, a living symbol of Rome itself. And when an emperor was strong, Rome was strong. But when an emperor was weak, the entire world felt it. Not every ruler was wise. Some were paranoid. Some were cruel, some believed themselves gods. Power without limits attracts excess. Palaces became cages of fear. Assassinations became common. Loyalty was bought, not earned. An emperor could rule the known world and still be killed in his sleep. Rome had gained stability, but lost balance. While emperors ruled by force, a quiet transformation began. A new belief spread among the poor, the enslaved, and the forgotten. It spoke of humility, sacrifice, life beyond death. At first it was ignored, then mocked, then persecuted. But it endured. Eventually, even emperors bowed to it. The empire did not merely change its religion, it changed its soul. As centuries passed, the empire grew heavy, too vast, too complex, too expensive to defend. Borders stretched thin. Enemies pressed inward. Armies demanded payment. Cities declined. Trade slowed. Confidence weakened. The capital itself moved away from Italy. Rome, once the heart of the world, became a memory. And then, the unthinkable happened. The Western Empire collapsed, not with thunder, but with exhaustion. No single battle ended it. No single enemy destroyed it. It simply stopped holding together. Italy was invaded. Cities were abandoned. Authority vanished. The empire was gone. But Rome did not disappear. Its ruins remained. Its roads endured. Its ideas survived. And from its ashes, a new Italy would emerge, an Italy shaped not by emperors, but by faith, survival, and memory. After the fall of empire, Italy did not become empty. It became fragmented. The land that once obeyed a single authority was now divided into dozens of worlds. Kings ruled in the north, popes ruled in the north, popes ruled in the center, merchants ruled the seas, cities ruled themselves. Italy became a mosaic of rival powers. There was no Italy, only Italies. Florence, Venice, Milan, Genoa, Naples, each city proud, each city ambitious, each city suspicious of the others. Walls rose, armies marched, alliances shifted like tides. Yet amid the instability, something unexpected happened. Freedom without emperors to command everything. Cities competed not only in war but in beauty, knowledge, and ideas. In workshops and quiet rooms, artists studied the ancient past. They measured the human body. They rediscovered forgotten texts. They dared to ask new questions. Painters learned perspective. Architects revived classical harmony. Thinkers argued that humanity itself was worth studying. This rebirth began not in palaces but in city streets, markets, and studios. Italy became the mind of Europe. Art no longer served only religion, it served curiosity, and the world would never see beauty the same way again. But brilliance did not bring unity. Italy remained divided, and powerful neighbors noticed. Foreign armies crossed the Alps. Battles scarred the land. Once free cities lost independence. By the modern age, Italy was ruled not by Italians, but by empires beyond its borders. The peninsula that once ruled the world was now ruled by others, yet memory endured. The long road to unite in the 19th century, a dangerous idea spread that Italy was not just a place but a people. Revolutions fled. Dreamers spoke of unity. Ordinary men fought for something unseen. Slowly, painfully, Italy came together, not perfectly, not peacefully, but permanently. For the first time in centuries, Italy was a nation again. The modern era brought struggle. War, dictatorship, rebuilding, yet through everything, Italy endured. Its cities remembered, its culture survived, its people adapted. Italy today carries all its pasts at once, ancient, medieval, modern, all living together. Italy is not a straight story. It is layered. Every stone remembers something older beneath it. Every road leads through time. Empires fell here, faiths rose here. Art changed the world here. And through it all, people lived ordinary lives beneath extraordinary history. If you are listening late tonight, far from Rome, Florence, or Venice, remember this: history does not disappear. It waits quietly for someone willing to listen. Thank you for traveling through time with me wherever you're listening from, and whatever time it is where you are. I hope this story brought you calm,